Just to start, what have you kind of thought of this team in the early stages of it?
Yeah, it kind of has felt similar to year one, just so many new faces and a roster reload. But this team has been a lot of fun, very, very competitive. Probably as competitive as, more competitive than any team that I've coached, just top to bottom. So that's been really fun for me. And then just, trying to figure out how we can make things mesh. And I would say that some early kind of I don't want to say surprises, but things that I've learned about them is just this is a very defensive minded team, which is very different from last season. Of course, we still want to play the same style and do everything that we do, but I think that this team is a little more bought in on the defensive end, and we have a lot of weapons again, so I'm excited about that.
Was having the defensive-minded players, was that kind of scripted to bring them in, or it just kind of happened?
No, it kind of happened. I mean, I think, you always know what you're going to get when you're recruiting kids. And, Chandler, for example, well, I hated playing against her last year. She just gave us fits. I think she gave a lot of people in the Big 12 fits. So we knew what we were getting, from her. Staley Hurd is another one that's really jumped out early defensively, and we kind of knew that about her. But I would say that their leadership on that end of the floor has been really fun to watch everyone else kind of buy into it just because of their leadership.
With Staley, defense can be one of the tougher parts of transition for a young player. Has she kind of maybe exceeded expectations to this point?
She has. I mean, I got to brag on her. She blows my mind every day. She doesn't play like a freshman. She just has this natural gift and ability to really figure things out. And, she's so athletically gifted that I think a lot of those kind of freshman mistakes that you typically see, maybe the pace of the game, the physicality, those things don't bother her like they do most freshmen, just because she's so gifted in that area. Not to say she's not going to have her challenges and, normal bumps in the road that come with being a freshman, but I think her athleticism covers a lot of that up for her.
You kind of mentioned the competitiveness. How much does so many new faces have to do with that? People trying to find their place on the team or whatever. How much does that have to do with the competitiveness?
Yeah, so I love this about this team. I love this. It's not a competitive spirit against each other. It's a love to compete, and so they will talk trash to each other. They'll go at each other, and then they're going to go eat together and go to, the movies. I mean, and so you don't always get that on women's teams, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but in my experience, that's been true. And it's a competitiveness in a way that I think that they love the game, they love to compete, and they just push each other to be better throughout the course of each practice with that.
With all the new faces, is kind of similar with the men's. How beneficial was that Europe trip, not just for on the court stuff, but off the court stuff?
It was a huge blessing for us to get to have that, and I'm so thankful to our donors and fans who supported us with that, because it really gave us kind of a head start to figure things out. Not even as much with the games, but just with the practices. It allowed us 10 extra practices that we wouldn't normally get. So that was really awesome as coaches to have. And then just that team bonding that you get traveling and going overseas, I think really kind of put us ahead of where we would have been without that trip.
Is there an update on Hannah's eligibility?
Still waiting on that. Yeah.
Chandler talked about being a Kansas City girl and having known you when you first got hired there. What do you remember about that time, and do you think that played a part in this opportunity when she came in the portal?
Yeah, I believe that it definitely played a part, just that familiarity. And the first time that I recruited her, I was an assistant at K-State, and we were kind of in the hunt. And then I got the head job at UMKC, and I remember watching her games just feeling sad because she was out of my league at that point. So it was a really awesome opportunity to get to recruit her again and just connect all those dots. Jasmine Player coached her at KU. So we had a lot of dots to connect, and just that familiarity, like you mentioned. of course, instantly bonded over our love for the Chiefs, so I got another Chiefs fan on board. But no, I think that Chandler and I just have had a great respect for each other and kind of what we've done in our careers, and so it's been fun to join forces.
I think the phrase she used was "defense is the key to her heart." How much has she specifically played into what you were talking about with defense? With this
Huge. She's that leader on that end of the floor that I was talking about. I mean, she loves it and she gets after it, and she's so physical. She's incredibly competitive, and she just brings that out in the rest of her teammates. And so that's been really fun for me to watch, just them, take it to another level.
She was talking about how you being a female head coach and you kind of always fighting for opportunities for them both on the field or on the court and off the court. I mean, how important is that to kind of be a positive female role model for this team?
It's a very intense passion of mine. I know I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't have other women pour into me, believe in me, give me opportunities, and just be the example that I always knew I wanted to then be for my players. So it's very important to me, and I think that we've got an awesome staff. It's not just me, it's the people around me that are leading as well, and I really believe that we just have all the right people on board, and that's a great feeling.
How important was it to bring Ashley back into the program from Arizona?
She's been so instrumental for us in a lot of ways in this off season, whether that is recruiting, just feeling like I just mentioned, that alignment is very important to me, and I feel like she just aligns with my values, with my philosophy on things, and we kind of joked because the very first day that she was here officially, we were trying to plan an official visit for a recruit, and we were all kind of spread out and no one knew who was going to be able to do the campus tour. And she was like, oh, well, I can do it. I mean, most people on their first day of the job, they don't know anything, and she just jumped right in, and I think she's really excited to be back, and it's just been a great fit so far.
At this point, you obviously have players like Annegret and Lior who played really important roles for you last year. How much do you lean on them in kind of being voices to build the culture and the things that you want this team to be?
I lean on them a lot, and it's been really neat for me. Annegret, I'll start with her because she's in that point guard role, and the point guard's kind of the quarterback of the team, right? They just carry a lot of that. I mean, they're the coach on the floor, and so it's been neat to watch her confidence grow. I think she's a very different player from last year at this point to this year, just a different player, a different person. Her confidence is through the roof right now, which is pretty neat to see. So I definitely lean on her a lot. Losing Mimi, it's kind of like losing my right arm, if I'm being honest. I mean, we had a lot of time together, and so you always just as a coach kind of look to that next person, and I think that both of them have really slid into that role for me, and kind of understand what I want, what I don't want. They'll look at me in practice if they know that somebody took a bad shot or something, and I challenge our players. You got to be a player-led team, and don't look at me. Go teach your teammates why that was a bad shot or how we would want to do things differently, and I think that they've transitioned into that role very well so far.
Would you want to get out of the non-con schedule when you were building it? Some pretty tough matchups in there.
Well, some of it was intentional and some was not, to be honest. And scheduling is so tricky for any coach in any sport because you just don't know what you don't know when you're scheduling these games. So, the rankings just came out. Colorado's in the top 25, Ohio State's in the top 5. And for example, Colorado was a home and home that was already in place when I got here. And so we didn't really have a lot of, that was kind of out of our control, and we owed them a game. And so I'm excited to get to see what we're made of early and go out there. And then the Bahamas, you've got Penn State and Ohio State. That's going to be a tremendous test for us. And of course, before we have Christmas, we see Oregon, and I'm just mentioning the Power 5 teams because the other teams are incredibly tough as well. So no doubt about it, we are going to be battle tested and really know what we're made of when we get to conference.
Do you like having a kind of tough non-con schedule, or
I
kind
think
of like
that there's a
similar
lot
last year?
of different philosophies on it, and my philosophy is I think the Big 12 is one of the best conferences in the country, and I want to know what we're made of going into it, and I want to feel like we've prepared ourselves by the time we see those teams, and I think that our schedule is definitely helping us do that. And you know, one of my mentors, Coach Self, actually at KU, if you pay attention to the way that they play, they're always playing, you know, the Dukes and the Kentuckys in their first couple games, and he just told me it's better to learn about yourself early than have to figure it out in February and March, and I really believe in that as well.
When did you connect with him, and was it just in the same general area?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. You know, just being in Kansas City and having him right down the road. We had spoke together in a couple different fundraising events and that sort of thing. And so I've never been shy to ask to go to practices and just kind of made my way in. And he was so gracious to let me in and just learn from him. So spent a lot of time just really at his practices.